this violence that we've seen last year, and last year wasn't the first time we saw the violence either, let's be clear. But I wonder if sometimes what's behind the violence isn't that people are thinking these people, quote unquote, have not properly integrated in our society, so much as what are they doing here in the first place? Why are they here? Why have we seen this pace of change? Why have we so many, or perceived to have so many, migrants within our society? How do you see it?
Well, looking at it and paying particular attention to Ballymena, there's been a concentrated effort, there's been a concentrated settlement of demographic change in certain pockets of the town. That has led to a lot of people being uneasy. If people are coming here to work, if people are coming here to integrate, there's absolutely no problem with that. But people that come here that have no intention to work and have motives of criminality, that takes it to a different level, and that has played into part of the problem we've experienced here in Ballymena. Integration is key to all of this. But it takes two. The people coming here have to have a culture, have to have an ambition to integrate. And Northern Ireland people, are welcoming by nature. And there's no issue with people coming into our country that want to work, that want to contribute to society, that want to join community groups, that want to clean up their areas, they want to get involved in projects in their areas, whether it be environmental or community or whatever. But what we've experienced in Ballymena is a nationality, a group of people that have come in that have no interest in integration, and that's where the whole thing falls down. Like a 24-page glossy document from the executive won't change the problems that we're having. Since I've been in the Stormont for a year, and I've raised these issues on a number of occasions, much to the displeasure of some within Stormont who would label you as racist, would label you as far right, would like to put a name tag on you and try and speak down to you, whereas there's legitimate concerns that exist, and until governments start to get on top of those concerns and work with them concerns and deal with them, this problem won't go away.
And
pick up on, this isn't about skin colour. And what the caller and a couple of your contributors have said, was wrong and shows a clear lack of understanding of what's happening on the ground in working class communities. We hear about, following a blueprint, following what the establishment, the government policy is. But these people aren't listening, and that is why we've, got to the position we are today. I sit in Stormont, and I've raised these issues a number of times, and you have politicians, you're far right, you're racist, you're whatever. And my goodness, you have one of the contributors would turn around and stare at you, when you raise any of these topics on your show here today. Like, it's a complete lack of understanding what is happening on the ground. Like Ballymena, G3 area of Ballymena, which was where we've seen a lot of the trouble, 52% of the residents have arrived in that area within the last 10 years, which shows a massive demographic change. Right. And just to answer your caller, so in our schools at the minute, in our primary schools, there's 15,462 newcomer children. Only 20 of them are placed or attending Irish medium schools. Does that not show you, a large proportion of the concentration where people are coming to is into unionist areas?
Of integrating refugees into their communities, enriching their communities with new languages, with new voices, with new skills, with new cultures. That's what we're trying to develop here in Northern Ireland. But we are failed because the Executive Office has failed to produce a delivery plan.
So, Timothy, when we're talking
all that comes with a massive cost. So already translation services and health is $4 million per year.
Yeah, it's going to get cheaper with AI.
Translation and education has tripled in the last 4 years. It's went from 44,000 in 2021 to 139,000 in 24-25. That's over 30 languages having to be cared for in our schools. Language. Oh, it's facts and figures.
We are definitely becoming a more diverse society, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
But there has to be a piece on this of local communities, where do they fit into this? Having people coming in and foisted upon them without any consideration given to the local setting of an area is obviously going to create these tensions and going to create these problems.
I'm just
and
wondering
years
why,
of inaction,
though,
years of inaction by the government has led us to here.
If you get a couple who move from Canada to Northern Ireland, a white couple who move into a street, that seems not to be it seems to be less of a problem in certain areas than if a couple move from Iran or Syria or Pakistan.
I would disagree. This has nothing to do with skin colour. And it's being a disservice to what is happening and people's legitimate concerns, degrading this conversation to that. It's nothing to do with skin colour at all. It's to do with people coming in and not respecting
politicians and the language of politicians, Timothy, too, that if we only hear migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, newcomers talked about in the context of them being a problem, then that is going to help to create a sort of language landscape that problematizes them in ordinary community life, won't it?
I try to be clear in any interview that I give or any time that I talk about this, that Ballymena, the industry, the economic activity, business relies on foreign nationals coming in to work in whether it's our food processing, whether it's our hospitality, whether it's our bus industry. But the problem doesn't stem from that. The problem stems from undocumented immigrants essentially coming in, and many have come in through the Republic of Ireland, and we have no data, no checks and no enforcement on who them are, and that is where there's a lot of the problem stems from. And that is something that this government needs to grapple with, the UK government, and get on top of. And until they sort that issue, we will continue to have these boiling points, the tipping over points, because we're not dealing with the core issues at the cause of the unease within the communities. And that brings back then to integration, that people are coming in here and their culture doesn't align them with integration, and then it's an obvious outcome when then there's tensions within communities.
And would you accept, Timothy, that it's important to also understand when we talk about integration, we don't mean that everybody who comes here has to become like us?
No, we don't expect people to come in here and just hold hands with everybody.
No, I mean they're allowed to maintain their own cultural identity.
Absolutely.
But that has to fit within our own culture. Basic things essentially like your bin, you put your rubbish in the bin, that's lifted. You look after the street, your area you live in, them types of basic things. You just don't run roughshod over
I've got a minute
the local
left.
laws.
Sorry to break in, but